Hello gang, Mr. Ed here for the second part of my Art Addicts Alliance review, and I have my other YouTube account open so I can make sure that everything's working on this video, because I have this fear that I'm going to go all the way through my review and there's going to be no sound or no video. So yep, looks like all that is working. Good deal. So I'll just set that off to the side. I can keep track, make sure what I'm doing is working. And let's just jump in. So first of all, I want to let me get rid of this and put up that and that. Our feature, our guest artist for this prompt, One with Nature in the Art Addicts Alliance, is Draw Art Lab. So be sure to check out her contribution to this and check out her other videos. She's a really good artist, and I'm sure you'll enjoy what she has to offer there. And I'll be doing Draw Art Lab's review later on in part 3. So in part 2, let's take these off here and let's just jump right in here. Well, wait a minute. Let me back up just a second here, because I do want to clarify some things. Let me put my logo back up there. There we go. All right. In the last video, although no one said it, someone did post something and I think they deleted it. But I got the message through my notification. I was able to see it before it was deleted, and this individual kind of took it a little bit hard. and it wasn't one of the artists, it was just a viewer. It could have been maybe a fan of one of the artists, and they thought my review was a little harsh and they didn't think that it was friendly. And I just want to kind of clear the air here and let everyone know that this is just my take. This is what I'm seeing as a viewer and as an artist also. You know, I've been an artist almost my entire life, and I'm well into my 40s. So it does come from a place of astute observation and study and thoughtfulness. So I just want to, you know, that's just my take, and that's where it comes from. So if it sounds kind of like highbrowish or, I don't know, high-end, it's really not intended to be like that. It's just that's where I come from as an artist. And also, when I say if there's something I would change, or if I had to make a change to a piece, usually it's just if there's something I'd have to change is in my mind, because I always want to apply that to everyone's review if I had to change something. So if it's I had to change something. And also, as an artist, I like to see different variations of stuff. So but just because you would make a certain change doesn't mean that it implies that what's there is less valuable, and that if you make the change it's going to improve it or diminish it. It doesn't mean that at all. It's just a different version. It's going to exemplify whatever aspects it is about the art that send a message. So if you change that aspect, it changes the feel of the art, and you can get a sense of what the intention, what elements are actually doing the intention of the artwork, and then if you make certain changes, how it changes that intention. And in my review, it's been demonstrated that how things change, it can change the intention. So let's get to the review. With all that said, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. Let's see, I'm definitely not trying to discourage anyone from being free as an artist, and to not think of their art as being anything that comes from a good place. And some people might not receive it the way that it's supposed to be, and that's okay. That's what art is all about. So we have illustrations with Eevee, or I guess it's illustration with Eevee. No S on there. I always put the S on. So from the cold view of her artwork, first of all, I love Eevee's artwork. If I was in a room filled with noodle style art, I bet I could pick her art out of everyone else's. It's just so distinctive, and it's not just how it's created, the technical part of it. It's also just the imagination and creativity and putting these elements together. It just blows my mind. It's so far out of what I can do that I just enjoy it that much. And there are a lot of artists in the group that are like this. That's why I love being in this group, because it takes me to places that I normally wouldn't go as an artist. So the colors are really, really vibrant. That's the first thing that struck me, is how much this foreground really pops out against the background. So right off, I got the impression that the subject or the subjects in the center are highlighted for effect, and that the background maybe represents nighttime. And I got the impression that it was nighttime because of the character's wardrobe. He appears to be wearing pajamas, and these creatures appear to be settling in to sleep. That's just the impression the cold impression I got from it. The animals are diurnal. I don't know if that makes a difference to the average viewer, but to me, I'm definitely thinking about that. You know, there's not an owl in here that's a nighttime animal. They're all kind of daytime animals, and they're all gathering together, and it just seems like it's like slumberland, like a sleepover or something. So it definitely gave me this very meditative feeling, this peaceful slumber kind of feeling. And the fact that the character is male and masculine, I don't know if that is really important to whatever the story this picture's trying to say, but I do know from experience from watching Eevee's videos and listening to her commentary that she doesn't usually do male figures, so I knew that this was a little bit different for her. And I've seen her male figures that she has done, and this is a little bit of a departure from that, but it still kind of maintains that same kind of style. Now, I love how he has a big mustache and a big beard, a little bit of a hipster look, but not too much. And whenever you see a guy with a big mustache and a big beard, it's almost kind of a threatening sort of thing. But this guy has been disarmed, and I don't know if that was deliberate or not. From the cold view, the longer eyelashes are kind of softening to this figure, and the flowers in the beard are really softening, and then the subjects being so close and comfortable with the figure is really disarming. So again, you get this feeling that you're meditating, that you're trying to rid yourself of any of the bad stuff or any of the threats in the world. And then when I watched Eevee's or listened to her commentary on her video, I found out it was the character was deliberately male, just stepping out of her comfort zone. So it wasn't, I don't feel like it was particularly germane whether this was a female or a male character. It's just kind of incidental. But I like how it is a male character, and it really plays well against the softness of the creatures, and that even the hardest people can soften up in the right circumstances. The theme, perfectly matched theme. He seems to be at Zen. He seems to be meditating, enjoying, and one individual, one tree. The counts of animals too I found interesting, that there's one bird, one squirrel, then there's all these bunnies, and then there's a little bunny kind of hiding behind the tree. I found that really curious too. That gave me the impression that the animals are coming to him, that he's not went out and gathered these animals up, that they're actually appreciating some fellowship. And if there was anything that I would change, if I had to change anything, I don't know. I love this piece. I don't know how much there is I can say about changing it, because it's so far outside of what I would do creatively. But just looking at it, if I had to change something, I would make the bird perched on a little limb instead of flapping his wings. I think it's too much energy. That takes away from the meditative quality of the picture just a little bit, and only if you think about it. Superficially, I don't think it's detracting at all. It's actually pretty charming. Alright, so that's Eevee's. Always love her artwork. So much fun. Inktangles. One thing I do want to say right out of the gate about Inktangles, the name of her channel, I love it. I love it. There's actually two people's channels whose names I really, really love, and I wished I would have thought of them. And Inktangles is one of them, even though I don't do anything Inktangly. You look at her banner and you look at her channel name, and it's like, of course, it's like, was she born with that name? Because it seems like it. And then ArtForFun. I love ArtForFun's channel name. I mean, it ArtForFun. It doesn't get any clearer than that. And I think people, I don't know if they search for art for fun or fun art or whatever, but it's a great name for keyword search hits. So I kind of like that. Just wanted to mention that. Love the name. So on Inktangles' work, the first thing that I really noticed were the eyes on the characters. All the characters seem to have this look, this almost portraiture look, like they are gathered together as representative of their place in nature. And I'm not sure if the arrangement of them represent any hierarchy, but if you look at it that way, in the cold view, when I looked at it that way, I got this feeling that the female character was maybe subordinate to these other things, and by choice, not almost like a symbiotic relationship. Ordinarily, we would put the person, above animals as kind of like a symbol of reigning dominion, but here she's just immersed in them. So I really like that. From the cold view, I got the feeling that she's transforming, maybe. But I didn't get that really strongly. And I did find out in the commentary that it was kind of a transformational design that she was going for. I don't think that it was strongly impressed in the end, and it may just be because the piece is so small and it's so hard to see on the video. That would have been my one thing if I could change, is just I wish I could see it better because I really can't say that much about it critically without being able to see all the stuff that's going on. But what I can see that's going on, it's a little bit of everything. Great juxtaposition of powerful and delicate. I love the delicate. It's a very delicate beauty. Some of the things are. It's almost a sirenic charm that the characters have, and they're masters of their domains. We have the owls. It looks like owls, or could be falcons or something like that, a raptor type bird. We have the porpoises or dolphins or killer whales. They're a dominant of theirs. And then we even have the smaller creatures like the butterfly. It looks like a mouse or butterfly deer or something. That I found really interesting. The balance of those two. The butterfly seems really delicate, but its imagery is so powerful, really powerful. And so when you put that with another animal, they're kind of borrowing from one another's symbolism. I just wish I could have seen this better. That was my only thing, because I can't get enough. There's so much going on. I love how the texture of it is really organic. I love the design layout is very organic. A great use of negative space there. Does it follow the theme? Absolutely. I mean, we've got just about every animal there. And it seems to be really natural. And and in the commentary, she mentioned that they were spirit animals, which that makes perfect sense when I see it now afterwards, and that it was kind of like a half human, half primal goddess-like character. So that definitely does fit into the synergy. It takes away from the fact that she's subjugated in her position in the art, but I think it does kind of she's prominent, she's in front. So I don't think it's more of a she rules over or lords over. I think it really is just a balance, So that's Inktangles. Really like that one. Oh, I got all this business on here. Let's take all this off. Jazcapri. Is that the next one? Jazcapri. Yes, it is. All right. I love the commentary from this picture. There's a lot of commentary going on in here. To me, it speaks of the rewards of a simpler life, the rigors of a simple life, and There are a measured amount of certainties and, of course, a measured amount of uncertainty. And if you live in a place that's really harsh and kind of indifferent and unforgiving, then if you believe in balance, then there's also the parts of it that are just glorious and serene and fulfilling. And I think she captured the promising side of that in this picture, because living this kind of humble lifestyle that this character appears to be living can't be easy. And it comes out in the expression that life is hard and this is what I do, and the hardness of it almost detracts from my enjoyment of it, even though I'm immersed. And she's done laundry. It's hanging up in the back. When you wash laundry out by hand, that's an all-day thing. And the house, it's interesting that the house is on stilts. To me, that implies that there's hard times. You only put a house on stilts if it's going to flood, or there's some kind of animals or insects that make it impossible to be on the ground. And given the proximity of the house to this waterfall and that, I would say that maybe there's floods. So then there's the threat of that. And I think all of that, even given the beauty that surrounds this character, comes across in their expression. And I don't know if this was intended by the artist. That's just my cold view. What else was going on? Okay, I guess I got the impression that this character was ethnic to some degree, or they exist outside of what is normally accepted, from the dreadlocks and just the more natural lifestyle, doing things on her own. I definitely got the difference of what we're used to. So I don't feel like this is a view into the past, the way things used to be. I think this is a view of how things are for some people. So I kind of like that idea. The character, or the artist, Jazz, said that she had intended on the character washing clothes, but she just couldn't organize that she just couldn't get that into composition to look right. And earlier, this is one of the examples of how our intentions shift simply because of technical barriers, or compositional barriers, can really change the whole piece. I think if she was there washing clothes instead of washing herself, it would change the whole story of this piece. Absolutely change it. It would follow the same lines, but I don't think that it would tell the story of her being immersed in it. She's trying to, just like her clothes, clean herself. I think it just carries the story in further. So I like that she's not washing clothes. I think that would have been halfway into the story for this piece. So if let me see if there was anything I would change. I would maybe add an animal. Now that's coming from me. If you see any of my landscapes, there's nigh an animal in there. There might be a speck of a bird somewhere. I'm just not good with figures. I'm not good with animals, and I don't want to take a landscape that's really beautiful and then put like a fourth grader animal in there, just because that's what it would look like. So I just don't do it. But if I could, I'd put an animal in every single one of my landscapes. And maybe that's something I should work on doing, is practicing animals and maybe put them together, because I would love to do that. So I'm always thinking in my mind, it could use an animal. So yeah, I think her picture could use an animal, maybe a goat, a domestic animal, chicken, or something that gives evidence of a self-sustaining lifestyle. I think that would just add to the story. That'd be the only thing I'd change. And it does follow the theme. But I love that piece. The palette's really, I feel like in the back, how it's kind of washed and muted is beautiful. And then I would have loved to have seen like how the vines are kind of taken up a little bit more vibrant. I wish the character could have been a little bit more vibrant, but that may just be a function of the camera and the lighting. Maybe if I saw this face to face, it'd be just fine. You know, that's too is another thing of doing a review that's really hard, is doing them through video. Because no matter how good your video camera is, HD, you know, whatever, there's always something lost in translation. So we have Junie Farben. Oh, I didn't even notice you there, Jazz. I'm sorry. I'm so used to just doing these and not paying attention to the chat. I think I'm just recording a video, and then I realize, oh, people can interact. Sorry, I missed you there. All right, where am I at? Junie, all right. This one I found really interesting because it was illustrative, you know, just like Junie Farben's channel name, Junifarben Illustrations. This is illustrative, and I got the impression that it was an Ecuadorial ethnicity, that it could have been South American or African. And I think in my cold view, I didn't get the impression, but I think she did say that it was the moon, or the Mercy, however you say. I'm not sure how you say that. I think it's Mercy. People from Ethiopia, and they are, from what I understand, pastoralistic people. They kind of like raise animals, and I guess that's it. Just kind of water. They're kind of maybe kind of nomadic-y a little bit. So they don't live in like dense jungles. That's what I learned from reading about them. But when you look at this picture, and this is why the cold view of this is so different than the narrated view, is that I got the impression that this character is tired after a long day hunting, or has just emerged from a dense, dark jungle into a lighted opening for a portrait, or to pose for a portrait. I definitely feel like this character is posed to represent, and I think he's representing a specimen of his culture, certainly by how well he's dressed, I guess, with the ornate, and it's got his weapon there and bands on the arms. Yeah, a skilled hunter. So I definitely got that from this piece. I love how it is shaded. I love how it is drawn. It's not perfectly technically executed, which is just fine. That is perfectly fine with this piece. In fact, I think it adds an element to it that it's not perfect. I don't know, a picture perfect or hyperrealism kind of thing. It is very well done, and you definitely can see the features and see the characteristics. I think if maybe I was going to try to convey that it was the Messiah, I would put like a lip plate, but I don't think the males have them. I think it's just females. I'm not sure. Anyway, it made me think. It made me research. It made me look into it further, and I love when art does that. So this piece, like, it achieved a lot. Oh, you just jumped on when you're on your piece. Well, that was great timing. That was great timing. If there was anything that I would change about this piece, I love the background. I just wish I could see it better, and it may just be because of how it's videoed. But if I could see a different version of it, I would love to see the background taken up a little bit. I would love to see it dense and just thick. I think it would tell the story of his expression, of him being maybe tired or coming out of someplace dark into someplace bright. Other than that, that's about it. I love this work. I love the palette, the character. I like how it made me think, and I love how it was a departure from what the other artists were doing with this prompt, that this was really very illustrative, and I like that about Junie's work. Let's go on to the next one. What we got here? I think this might be the last one here, MiniSeaStar. Then you'll see MiniSeaStar added her name to her banner. I love that. I can tell who she is now. Cute little star back there. Now this, I spent a good time studying this picture. I did. I tried to see whatever I could see. And I think what I did wrong was I went straight to the end and looked at the final piece. Now, I don't know what happened with MiniSeaStar's video, but it seemed like maybe it's missing a huge chunk at the end. So I'm not sure that I even get to see the finished piece. What I can see, I definitely feel like it's unfinished. From my cold view, I felt like it was unfinished. But then I went and watched the video and the narration and watched her as she was doing it, and then I definitely felt that it was complete. So I think it has a lot to do with how the video was shot, why I got the impression, the cold impression that I did. But I did want to say that I thought her expression was kind of sad, and I felt that she was looking at the viewer, and then every once in a while I could tell maybe she was looking at the terrarium with the little animals in it, but it wasn't so distinct. It was more distinct that she was looking at the viewer, which gives a completely different feel for what story may be going on in this drawing. I love the ideas of the animals in the terrarium. I like it because it kind of equates keeping plants to having a zoo. It makes that connection in a very stark way. So I like that idea. And the blue colors, also with the expression and the blue color, kind of contributed to this feeling of sadness. So if I had to pull away something from the cold view, I would say that I'm not sure if she is collecting these things or if she feels like nature is kind of like surrounded and compartmentalized now, and she's sad because she wishes maybe it could be more liberated and more surrounding her, and then instead of her surrounding it. Maybe that's why she does the terrariums, because she feels like there just isn't enough nature around. That was my cold impression. Oh, and then when I watched her making the art itself, I could see what was going on. I could see, from the cold view, I couldn't tell that it was water pouring out. Even though it's blue, I really couldn't tell that distinctly, because I think the tone and shape of the water pouring so much matched her hair and arm, and it just kind of, it was confusing from the cold view. But then when I watched it being made, I could see it absolutely. So here's an example, and this happens to me a lot because I do textural landscapes a lot of times. I see what's there. I see the bushes, I see the plants, I see the grass, the rocks. But if someone's looking at it cold, they may have a hard time trying to figure that out. And I've actually had an occasion to look at one of my pieces maybe a year or two after making it, where I've kind of forgotten what all the pieces are, and then when I look at it again, I'm like, this just is a jumbled mess. How did that happen? Because when I finished that piece, I felt really good about it, that it represented what I was trying to draw, and then when I revisited it after forgetting what my intention was, I couldn't see it. It was hard to see, so I just felt like it wasn't very well defined. So this is a great example of how you can see something when it's finished, you see it one way, but then when you see it being created, you start picking out stuff that you didn't notice before that were intended in a completely different way. I like that. I thought that was a really interesting thing to discover with this work. I would like to see if that's the finished work. That's all. If I could change anything, I would just like to know that that's it at the end of the video, because it does seem like it kind of drops off. And no hard feelings there for me, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have these things happen. Being a video creator, being a content provider, there are a million things that can go wrong, and there's just one right way. So the odds are against you. So it looks like they may have got the better of MiniSeaStar at the end of her video, but that's all right. You can still see her work. You can still appreciate it. The character is just beautiful, absolutely lovely. I love the gradients. I love the expression, even though it is really curious. And I think it mostly has to do with how subtly downturned the lips are. Just like a millimeter. One edge of it's turned down, and I think that just that is enough alone to give that sadness feel, especially mixed with the blue. I don't know if that's what was intended, but that's kind of like the feel that I got from it. So there it is. I did 5 reviews. I got 5 more plus our guest artist to do in part 3. I'll probably have that ready tomorrow. These reviews do take me quite a lot of time to do, watching everyone's videos, thinking about them, taking the notes, and then doing this review. So I hope you guys really do appreciate it. I love doing it, even though it is a lot of work, takes up a lot of time. It is fun to do. But I do that all the time. Whenever I watch artists, I'm always trying to figure out what's going on so I can learn. And keep up the great work, artists. Keep supporting the arts. And if you like this channel, think about watching some of the other videos. If you like those, you may want to subscribe and hit the bell so you can see some of the new ones that pop up. So until my next video, I think it'll be out tomorrow, so watch for that, and I will be doing it live. You guys, I love you. I really appreciate you stopping by, and take care.